Good. My name is Barbara Grant, and I am the founder and director of Retrofit Pilates in the West End of Toronto. I have been operating that studio since 1999, so we're over 20 years. I am a master instructor for balanced body, and that's I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say.
That's
That's
plenty.
that's
Like,
that's my story.
yeah, that's I was celebrating when I had Kelsey McClelland on, and she also was one of the people that worked at Lifetime with me, and we were in the Pilates department there. And it's so funny how you make these connections with people, and you almost think of, that lineage. Everyone talks about Joseph Pilates' lineage, and then this person was taught by this person, who's taught by this person. Barbara, have been thinking about my lineage of late. You know what I mean? And who is it that sparked that for me? And I could think of Kelsey for one, as one person, and Joanne as another, two people that made Pilates that much more interesting and that much more challenging for me and my body. And much like Labrice, who was just on a minute ago, who's really passionate about Pilates for men, Kelsey did his Pilates for athletes class, and that really kicked my butt, and it's the thing that made me say I want to own Pilates like Pilates owned me today. So it's funny how, and so you're directly connected to that too, right? For the times that you've taught some of these people that have made Pilates exciting for others and made it not just boring yoga alternative, but have done it. So thank you for the legacy and for the impact you've had in Toronto and Pilates world.
Oh, well, it has been my pleasure. And it has been an ongoing journey. And, one of the things I've always felt with the people who've taught for me, the clients who've become teachers, people who are in my teacher training program, um, is that we are all colleagues. We are all colleagues. Like your former guest was saying, we are here to share the knowledge because the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge does nothing if we just keep it to ourselves.
Yes.
And Pilates is a huge system, and there are many different ways to kind of find your niche, like you were speaking, find your passion. What is it that you really want to do? And there's so much to learn from each other, and also just from that discovery of,
Mm-hmm.
that, like you said, you've been in that one person's class, you've taken that exact same series of exercises hundreds of times, but it's the way this one teacher talks about it, or this teacher demonstrates it, or the way that they invite this new idea into the room.
Yes.
That's the
Love that.
excitement of it. And I feel like um, it is our job as Pilates professionals, and particularly not just us that have been around for a really long time, but for all Pilates professionals new to the profession, or masters of the profession, to ensure that the quality of Pilates that is being taught is as
Mm-hmm.
high as possible. That we continue um, to gather our information and share our information, so that we're all better teachers, and the industry itself is better. That's super important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and let's stay with the word quality for a second, because I think even our definition of quality has changed. If you stop and think about within the Pilates world, because we say quality means making sure that people are teaching the order.
Hmm.
And then quality might mean make sure that we're teaching to the body in front of us. And then quality might mean, what about bigger bodies? What about male bodies? What about this? What about that? So even our definition of quality, I think, is changing.
Yes, I
That's a
yeah.
deep kind of way of
No, I
looking at
understand.
it. So,
I mean, is our definition of quality changing, or are we realizing that um, that's an expansive idea, that perhaps we each individually can't be the best at every single thing. So why don't we find that element that we're the best at, or that we have the most passion about, and bring the most quality to that.
yes.
Um, and understanding that as Pilates has grown, as more and more people, get involved in Pilates as practitioners and in the industry, understanding what those different needs are. Like I'm sorry, what was the woman's name who was speaking?
Labrise?
Labrise. I loved her conversation about taking her son to Pilates studios and there
Yes.
being a lack of accommodation for this big, huge fella. I have a son who is also 6'3". He's an athlete. His needs on the reformer are way, way different than other
Hmm.
people's needs. And it reminded me of a balanced body conference I was at a while ago. This was a few years ago, and Christina Romani Ruby, she's out of Philadelphia. I think she's a master
Okay.
instructor, and she always brings her husband, who is a big athletic guy, not a little Pilates person, but a big athletic guy. She brings him to demonstrate the exercises when she's teaching.
Perfect.
And it's
Yes.
such a treat because typically at a conference or in a
Hmm.
teacher training program, we're watching often women, but if not women, at the very least, Pilates instructors or
Yes.
people with a certain fitness level demonstrating these exercises. Well, how can we possibly learn how to teach them on other bodies? So how
Yes.
can we possibly make our work accessible unless we to all sorts of bodies, whether it's the tall, athletic
Hmm.
man or the different abled body or the
Yes.
different outlook body. It's all that's opening up now. So
Hmm.
I think quality, the definition of quality doesn't change, right? We
Yes,
have to
definitely.
be the best. We have to ensure that we are present in what we're doing, that we're respectful of the bodies in front of us, and that we're
Yes.
open to learning what we can bring to a broad, um, a broad group of people.
Absolutely. I love the word expansive. Like that, I think that is exactly it. Krista just made a comment here, said Labrise and her husband do a webinar a few weeks ago on the tower. I know that she's done that too. Like she'll use her husband and son as her bodies when she teaches. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
And it's such a great idea, and that's always one of the challenges I find in our teacher training programs is the students are learning and practicing off of each other, and I have to constantly remind them this body that you have in front of you is quite different than the body that you're going to meet in the studio or the person that you're going to meet in the studio.
Mhm.
So. So we have to open our eyes to that for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. I just thought of something when you were saying about the body and like our physical body. We only have two arms, two legs, that sort of thing where each part of the physical body has its dedicated function. And within this Pilates world, if we are tuning into what we're most passionate about and really dialing into becoming proficient at that and then sharing that with the community, we are all acting like a part of the body. So I don't have to be a master with larger bodies, or I don't have to be the expert with scoliosis. There is someone that could be that part of the body, and I can be my part of the body.
Yes, absolutely. Like that, going back to the idea of finding your passion and finding your niche. I think it's really important, though, to remember that the Pilates method is designed to work with all bodies, to work
Yes.
with all people. It is
Hmm.
not designed just for dancers or athletes or women. It is the thing that got me really excited about Pilates in the first place was not the Pilates that I was taking as a dancer. I was a professional dancer for years, and
Hmm.
in the late 80s, early 90s, like a long time ago, the only Pilates there really was in Toronto was in the dance community.
Right.
Um, and and it was very specific to dancers, and I wasn't really that keen. I didn't, it didn't really I didn't like it that much, to be frank. And it was only after, I left the Pilates, or sorry, left the dance profession, and I was moving in a completely different direction, that I started working with a woman whose approach to movement was so embedded in the principles of what the Pilates technique and the Pilates method was all about,
Yes.
that I got really excited.
Right.
And that's what drew me into the profession. I was never interested really in teaching dancers. I
Hmm.
was always interested in giving people or helping people find the most possible facility in their bodies for doing
Yes.
whatever it is they want to
That
do.
they wanted to do. Yeah, absolutely.
And I
It's so
feel
funny. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no,
I'm
and
like, amen.
so I feel like absolutely finding your specific niche or your passion. If you really want to work with scoliosis or you really want to work with athletes, there's so much to dive in with that, and that's.
Hmm.
Um, but also, as a fully educated Pilates teacher, we have to remember that the whole technique is based on building or working with all bodies. We're trying to make your body, not that guy's body, not that woman's
Hmm.
body. We're not looking to make it into something. We're helping you make the best of what you got. And
Yes.
I think that's, as
Love
we
that.
as we talk about inclusivity and expansiveness in our industry, and making sure that we're welcoming everyone in, opening our doors to everyone, I think we have to continue to remind ourselves that that is actually at the heart of what
Hmm.
Pilates is all about. If you go back to, I don't know if anyone actually reads Joseph Pilates anymore, but if you go back, to his original work, that is really what he's talking about. Having the energy and strength and vitality to live a life of zest and ability and pleasure, and not coming home from work every day and just being, oh my God, exhausted and
Hmm.
stressed out, right? So
Yes.
that's what I'm thinking of quality, Martin. That's my idea of quality.
I can buy that. Yeah, that's legit. That's exactly it. Yes, I reread it every year.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Excellent. It's so short, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think they'll be overcomplicated then at the same time?
Do we overcomplicate Pilates?
Yeah. In
I
like
def
in distilling it down to specialties and angles. I'm just playing the advocate to what you just said there.
um no, I don't think we overcomplicate it. Um, and to a certain extent, um, uh, it, it, uh, it has to do a little bit with your perfect client. Who are the
Yes.
clients that you want to work with? I
Hmm.
know that I can teach Pilates to golfers and baseball players and dancers and French horn players and office workers and new moms and
Hmm.
old dads and everyone. I can
Yes.
teach it to everybody. Who do I like to teach? Like,
Hmm.
where do I really get excited?
Yes.
Um, that's where I can focus my energy, or that's where I
Hmm.
might encourage my teachers or my teacher trainees to focus their energy. Um, so no, I don't think it's necessarily. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be complicated.
Right.
Um, it's just specific, I guess.
Absolutely. And that's one of my favorite questions to ask on core conversations is who is your ideal client? And I love the answers that I've gotten. Everything from teaching men to my favorite answer was Randy Moore, who said someone who is curious and courageous, right? Curious about what their body can do and courageous enough to explore that as we guide them with trust and a good building, trusting relationship in this Pilates work. So those are such cool answers. So of course I'm going to ask you, who is your ideal client? Like of those you mentioned, who would you train for free for the rest of your life? Like because
You
you
mean
love them so
besides
much.
besides my son?
Yes, your son is fine as a perfect prototype, right? Your avatar.
Uh, um, That's a good question. I really I really like to, I work a lot with men as well. I
Mhm.
like to work with men, and one of the reasons I like to work with men, and I'm sort of interested in that program, is because uh, men approach the work differently,
Mhm.
and I find them very easy to teach. I find it easy to create a rapport with them. But I like teaching people who are curious and who are really invested um, in improving, or invested in really getting it, or invested
Yes.
in um, in being really good at Pilates, or like really making changes in their life, and making healthful choices and following that path. But those are the easy people to teach. Everybody wants to teach those people.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I
Yes.
remember this. I It's like back in my dance training, or when I see dance training, or other athletic training that involves a lot of flexibility,
Mhm.
it's really easy to teach flexible bodies how to be flexible.
Right.
It's really easy to teach people who are really curious and really committed and really engaged. It's so easy to teach them. They're so delightful.
Right.
But it's our job as Pilates professionals
Here it
to
comes.
get the like 90% of the people who are like sitting on their couch
Right.
wondering, oh my goodness, what should I do? Should I do this exercise, or this exercise, or this exercise?
Hmm.
And how can I feel better? And I feel terrible, and I hate
Yes.
myself, and I can't even
Hmm.
get off the couch, and I can't get down on the floor to play with my kid, or I can't go to the park with my grandkid, or whatever. Those are the people
Yes.
we have to reach. And Ashley, those are my favorite people. Those are my
Okay.
favorite people to work with.
Yes. Do you have, over the years, have you figured out a quote unquote formula to get someone from zero motivation to, okay, I'm looking forward to Wednesday's class?
Well, I think if I figured out that formula, I would be like super rich,
Yes.
because that's the magic ticket, right? Like
Of course.
that's the magic pill. Everyone's looking for that.
It's worth an ask.
Um, but no, I keep trying. I definitely keep trying. Um, I really hang my hat, or um, I really set my stage. I'm not sure what the metaphor is, on habits, on good habits.
Thank you.
So, one of the things
Yes.
that is imperative always, if you want to see me privately, or if you want to see any other teacher privately at Retrofit, or you want to, back in the days when we had limited number of people in
Yes.
studio, on
Hmm.
online, it's different now. But if you want to be in this class, or take a private lesson with me, you have to make the commitment, and you have to put it in your calendar, and you have to come every Tuesday at 9:30.
Yes.
No, we're not going to say this week Tuesday at 9:30, and next week Wednesday, and then the next week
You're right. There's no room for
Friday.
that.
There's no room for that as a business, but there's also
That's true.
absolutely no room for that for our clients,
Yes.
because our clients have to make this a habit.
Hmm.
And as we can encourage our clients, our students, to make Pilates a habit,
Hmm.
then we can start helping them build other habits around it. We cannot, in our 1 or 2 hours per week that we have, we cannot make huge changes, right? They've got all sorts of other hours
Right.
that they have to fill. So
Yes.
how can we help our clients build healthy habits? And committing to your Tuesday at 9:30 session, or your Thursday at 10 class, whatever that is the start of that. And I don't
Hmm.
let my clients get like, I've always made that something that's really important. And I think for new teachers,
Yes.
even though you might have all sorts of space in your schedule, and you could actually see that client Monday
Hmm.
1 week, and Tuesday 1 week, and Thursday 1 week, you don't, because that's no
That's
good for the
wise.
client either. They have to
Exactly.
prioritize it, because otherwise they won't feel the benefit. Once they prioritize it, they'll start to feel the benefit. Once they
Mhm.
start to feel benefit, they'll start to trust you. So
Yes.
that's one of the things I do. You asked if we overly complicate things. We
Mhm.
totally do in Pilates, like totally overcomplicate things.
Yes.
And we definitely have to meet people where they are,
Mhm.
right? If you have a big, strong, fit man or a small, fit woman or whatever, whoever, come into your class, into a beginner level or into your session, you still have to meet them where they are. And
Yes.
uh, sometimes you have to go through the side door or down the
Mhm.
back stairwell or this way or that way. It's got to be different for every person.
Absolutely.
Uh, what's going to work for them?
Yeah. The I was gonna say something on that earlier about building rapport, like building rapport with men and stuff like that. Just talking with you for the past few minutes, I see that you're very good at building a rapport. Like this is a very comfortable, easy conversation. That makes it easy for us to connect with people, right? Like if we can build that sense of trust with people, then they're more open to allowing us to explore, right? Because we need to be curious. Like, how does that? I wonder what's going to happen if we get them to start with this leg instead of that leg. What's going to like as we start to explore with their body what those imbalances are, so that we can make them better and stronger, more confident. We have to build that trust and build that rapport first before we can get them to that level, right? So,
Absolutely. And I, you know, thank you for saying that it's easy, that I'm, easy to have rapport with me. I do know that I can never shut up. So I have to constantly remind myself, not just in this instance, but when I'm speaking with clients and I'm meeting clients for the first time, I have to just shut up and let them talk.
let them
Let
talk.
them tell me what, let them tell me what they think, what they feel. And you have to dive deep underneath of that to really get to a sense of what it is they need from us, right? Because we can
Yes.
ask them what their goals are, we can
Mm-hmm.
invite them to fill out the forms, and we can have
Right.
conversations, but it's really, everyone says the same thing.
Yes,
uh,
absolutely.
so how do you have the conversation and just listen
Yes.
to people, and so you really get an understanding of what they need. And then with our own expertise of observation, we we can start to understand, okay, if this is what they want and this
Yes.
is where they're at, how can I best help them? And how can
Mm-hmm.
I best tell them how I'm going to help them? That's the other
Yes.
thing too, is we have to listen and then we have to share our expertise.
Yes. And there's an intersection of what they say they want and what we see they need.
Yes.
And then how do we marry those two every time we meet?
Yes. That's the art of teaching.
That's the art of
That's
teaching.
because uh, to get what they want, you know, to get what they want, exactly, to get what they want, we need them to do this. This is
Hmm.
what they need to do first. And that is often why people do not stick with exercise programs or fitness or health programs, is because the distance between where they are
The
and what they
chasm.
want, it's
It's,
yeah,
yeah.
and they tend to try
Yes.
and make that huge leap, where we know that they have to make much smaller stepping stones. So how do we make the
Absolutely.
stepping stones exciting? How do we make the stepping stones or the progression seem purposeful? How do
Yes.
we continue to reward small victories?
Hmm.
um, how do
Those are
we
the
just keep building
questions.
trust? Yeah, and those are the questions we have to be constantly asking
Constantly.
ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
the old school strategies that I took away from my days of working big box gyms as a personal trainer, doing those like fitness consultations, and the person comes in like that. One of my favorite strategies that they gave us that I had to use when I was training trainers was like five whys. Like not just one why, but five whys. So Barbara, you're here joining me today. Like what makes you decide to join a gym? Oh, I want to get in shape. Okay, well, why is that important to you? because, I've been working for 6 years in this new job and I haven't worked out since I started this job. Okay, well, why? And as you start to unpack those whys, you get down to because I was bullied when I was young and I've always been overweight. And then they start crying, right? So you're like, maybe, but you get to somewhere in there and you wade through all those things. And then once you figure that out, it's easy in the midst of our sessions to say, like, this is why we're doing that roll up, so that you will feel more confident when you walk into the room and your posture is perfect because your spine is more, like we can tie everything back to that real why, not the I want to fit in this dress for the wedding that's coming up why sort of thing. So it's, yeah, it's fun to wade through that stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the great things about working in the big commercial gyms, or now because there are so many um, like corporate boutique fitness businesses around, is that whether or not that's where you're going to land for the rest of your career, and I'm saying this sort of to new people who are maybe starting
Yes.
out, is you can learn so much from that kind of information that those corporate entities have, right? So
Yes.
learning in a big gym that maybe has very strict um, like targets that you as a trainer have to hit. Well,
Yes.
here are some tools for you to try and hit those targets. Maybe you're going to take those targets, or maybe you're going to take those tools and use them differently later on in your career.
Mm-hmm.
But those are so important, and it's so helpful. Like if you have that opportunity to learn from people who work in those environments, um, that is something that is still the sort of the chasm for Pilates teachers who are new to the industry, is constantly reminding them that we are not teaching Pilates. That is not what we do. Our job is not to teach the person to do the best possible teaser or the best possible, snake on the reformer. We
Yes.
are using the Pilates method as a tool to train this body and to give this person what they want and need to meet those 5 whys that you're talking about.
Yes.
Um,
Well said. The other
well, thank
beautiful
you.
part, yeah, well, the other part of that too is in those big box gyms, there's just the beauty of the different demographics that walk through the door. You're going to have some affluent person who does nothing. You're going to have some young, eager person who doesn't see the value of it. And like whatever it is that you have this mix of different bodies that aren't there in your studio, right? Because you have an established culture, you have your community, but then you don't get the different walks of life as much as a big eclectic box gym. So there's one day that you're teaching one person, next day you're doing a demo with someone who is never going to come back. But how do you actually inspire them to explore movement more? It gives you so much more experience talking to different people and learning their languages.
Absolutely, and that is something I often I share with our students in our teacher training program. Um, Once you've completed whatever level of teacher training you're getting to, you know, go out and teach in the community centers, teach at the
Yes.
Y, teach at your at a small yoga or at a yoga studio,
Hmm.
teach at a big box gym, teach wherever,
Yes.
so that you can, exactly as you said, Martin, you can get the experience of different perspectives,
Yes.
different needs, right?
Yes.
And figure out, I mean, you're going to figure out who you want to teach, but also
Mhm.
that's how you become a good teacher, is by working
Absolutely.
with all those people. Um, and I find it hilarious because if you actually want to make a living in this industry, you have to be able to teach whoever walks in the door,
Yes.
and uh, you have to get as many people in the door as possible.
Hmm.
So you can't be picky,
Right.
right? You can have your niche client and whatnot, but it is both our job and our
Hmm.
privilege to be able to
Yes.
share this work with everybody.
With
So
everybody. Yeah.
um, So yeah, take those experiences where you can. Absolutely.
Lori Coleman Brown just put in the comment section, wow, you just may be interested in working in a gym.
Oh, good. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, sure, absolutely. Lots of
sure.
people work in gyms. There are some
Yeah,
fantastic Pilates teachers in gyms in Toronto. There's
right.
fantastic Pilates teachers at the Y. There's fantastic
Yes.
Pilates teachers teaching for Parks and Recreation,
Hmm.
you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Pre-lockdown, that was my favorite class of the week. My Wednesday afternoon Pilates class. I had at South Common Community Center here in Mississauga. And I'd have, you know, 35 people in a room. But the beauty of it was that because they never had Pilates on the schedule, when I started working there and I said, you know, September 2017, we're going to start this Pilates class, I had, you know, 25, 30 people show up and they showed up every single week. So I got to take everyone at the same time on this Pilates journey. And then you have new people who come in and out, but there was easily a core of about 15, 20 people that have been there from day one that were on this journey, and it was fun. Like I had like super, I call them my super seniors, like 80-year-old women who can move. And then I'd have, funny story, I'd have like these 80-year-olds who are really, really good movers in the class. And then one of the coaches for the Raptors 905 team came in and he did the class and it just crushed him. And afterwards he was like, these old people are fit, man. Like he's so mad. Like he was so mad because he wasn't there for the journey, right? He just rolled in as a fit guy. And these guys have been on this journey for 2 years and they were good to go. And he was like, these old people are fit, man. And he came back because he was like, I'm not letting this be embarrassed like this again. So it's fun. You're right. We need different people in our room.
That is such a great story. And I see that happening all the time, like back in the pre-pandemic days where
Yes.
people would show up and I have these 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds who are just crushing it.
Yes.
And the young folk, literally the young folk, like someone will bring their like granddaughter or their niece or something and
Yes.
uh but that idea that they're following, you've had these people on the journey with you, that's super important too.
Mhm.
Back in the day when I first opened my studio, there was very little choice for Pilates in Toronto. So
Yes.
if you wanted to take Pilates at Retrofit, you had to sign up for the whole series, like the whole 10
Hmm.
weeks. And we didn't actually let you do like intermediate Pilates until you had completed your beginner level Pilates. Like we had
Right.
all these rules. And because people didn't have any other choices, they just followed the rules and they would do the classes that we told them to do.
Right.
You know, that has changed and people just won't buy that anymore,
Hmm.
uh, or not as much. So it is much more difficult to get people on the journey, right? To
Yes.
get them to make sure that your very first Pilates class is going to be so different from your 10th or your 50th, you
Yes.
know? One, and so trying to keep people on that journey is so um, important. And, you know, we're talking about pre-pandemic times, but now still
Hmm.
pandemic. Our doors
Hmm.
have been locked for over a year, and we've been doing live streaming classes for over a year.
Hmm.
And it has been so exciting to see our clients who maybe were doing one or two classes a week prior to the pandemic doing like 6 classes a week, like
Amazing.
hitting off
Yeah.
like we have these little reward texts that get sent out when you've done
Yes.
50 classes or 100, and we're getting a lot of people hitting the 200 mark now.
Really?
200 online classes, yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
And one of the things, I mean, there's one of the things about that is people are understanding how much daily movement can how much it can impact their life, what
Yes.
quality it brings to their life.
Absolutely. 200 classes.
Oh yeah, tons of people hitting the 200 classes mark.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fantastic. We love our
Yes.
clients at Retrofit.
That's
And
amazing.
also, I love my team of teachers. Like we have such an amazing team of teachers here
That's
who
the
are
key.
yeah, that is totally key. And they are dedicated to, the this same vision of inclusivity and helping you be the best. I don't want to say best person. I can't really help you be the best person. I can, I don't have that power, but
Yeah.
we can contribute to ways that are going to help you live your life in a way that we know is going to be
Yes.
better. Yeah.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Yeah.
Yes.
Mental health.
Mental health. Roxy Spiral here says, "How are you managing with the bricks and mortar as other studios in Toronto have had to close?"
Well, that's an excellent question. Um, how I have been fortunate in that I've been to, part of this is the way my business is structured as well, because my business is it's the way my business is structured as a corporation.
Mhm.
So I have been able to take advantage of um, the government programs for wage subsidy and rent um, subsidy,
Yeah.
which has been a huge help. Also, I've been around for a long, long time, so um, we still have a very robust client base. Clearly, not all of our clients have stayed and gone online, because
Mhm.
that's not
It's not for everybody.
cool. It's not for everybody, but like for instance, most of my private clients have gone online with me. So,
Yes.
and for most of my instructors, like these are clients that I've been seeing for like over 20 years,
Right.
right? Tuesdays at 9:30, for
Hmm.
instance.
Hmm.
So, so that has been, it has been a combination of those factors that our client base has stuck with us,
Hmm.
uh, and we continue we continue to do whatever we can to bring as much Pilates online. We have all our teacher training is now online. That's been very exciting. Now
Amazing.
we're bringing in students. There's not a lot of balanced body teacher training in Canada, so it's exciting to be bringing students from actually all over the country.
Yes.
That's been a big part of it. A very loyal, long-standing client base, and continually nurturing the connections with our clients, just constantly nurturing those connections.
That's amazing. This hour has gone so fast, and I have like 400 more questions for you, just because you're just like you're doing such a great job of cultivating community amongst your team, amongst your people, and amongst the greater community. I think that really, if we're talking about magic pills or formulas, not that you've mastered it, but I mean, the fundamentals are there. And that's the exact same thing we talk about every single day here is like, how are we cultivating community amongst those three elements? Like your team, your staff team, your clients that are coming in, and your immediate and kind of global community. Like these are all people that need us to be there for them, right? So,
Absolutely. And that's honestly, Martin, that's why I was so excited to come on your show, because I'm not exactly a social media pro. I don't really do social media very much, which I realize is I got to get over myself and just shut up and do it. Uh, because now there's so much community on social media, that it is so important cultivating community. It's just that's that's what's like. I don't know what's going to take the fitness industry through this pandemic, or what the industry is going to look like at the other side. Again, that's the $1 million question. But I do know that people come to Pilates studios or gyms or what have you because of the community. That's why
yes,
they come, because of
yes,
the people that are there. And so, yeah, we just got to keep nurturing that.
absolutely. I love the fact that you have. Well, okay, sorry. I thought this buzzer was going to go off in the background. I love the fact that you have that community and you haven't, like, and you're not like big social media, like 40,000 followers and stuff. Like, you're just doing your thing, you're doing it well. So yeah, layer this in for sure, but just know that what you're doing is having an impact in our community. So thank you so
Oh, thank
much.
you, Martin. It was a real
Mhm.
pleasure.
Yes, and thank you to all of you who have joined us today. I see Krista's comment we missed earlier says Brett Anderson said, "We as Pilates teachers, we facilitate successful movement experiences that impact body, mind, and spirit well-being." Yes. Um, Thank you, Roxy, for your comments. Lori Coleman Brown, maybe we can get you a job at a big box gym one day. She's awesome. And thank you to everyone who joined. Yes. One more thing here, Barbara. I don't know if you saw it pass through here in the comment section, but you'll see a bunch, if you scroll up, there's a bunch of light bulbs, and that is Alexandra Reed. That's my wife. And she is the mastermind behind all that I do here, like from the name to this concept. So you said something earlier that sparked a light bulb in her, and I'm sure that I'm going to have some new project for me when I come home because you said something awesome. So look out for that.
All
I didn't
right.
even dare ask her what it was now, but like for sure. Like, quick example, when we were talking one time, not you and I, but like a past guest, we were talking about speed dating, and she's like, I have an idea. Call me when you get home. And I called her and she's like, why don't we do speed networking? We'll make it like speed dating and da da da. And we've done our second one now. We're doing these quarterly, and there's these events where we can just get the group to get the community together and talk and network and find mentors and all these different things. So thank you to Alex for those ideas. So I'm sure there's another idea coming out of all the stuff that we talked about today. So stay tuned.
Looking forward to it.
Nice. All right. Thank you once again. I will sign you off and I'll send you the replay for this later.
Great. Thanks so much, Martin. Have a
Awesome,
great day.
Barbara.
Thanks everyone
Thanks.
for joining.
Take care, everybody.